Good morning. Thank you all for joining. We'll give just a moment to clear the waiting room. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are providing testimony before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce the chairwoman of the board, Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly if you will be testifying before the board. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. All testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, Paga Inc., doing business as Nick's Venue, located at 100 Warrington Street. Date of the incident, October 15th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A, and failure to call 911 in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.14b. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning. Mark Evliades, representing Paga Inc., doing business as Venue. I have with me today Shirok Reza, who is the Director of Operations, Kevin Montgomery, who is the Head of Security, and Ace Gershfield, who is our Director of Entertainment.
Thank you. I see all three on my screen. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Lieutenant Detective Troy, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Reading from a police report written by Officer William Stewart on October 15th, it reads as follows. At about 11 a.m. Tuesday, October 15th, Officer Stewart assigned the front desk of District 1 took a report from the Venue nightclub for an assault and battery. The victim, Lauren Cameron, stated she was promoting at the Venue nightclub on October 13, 2024, about 1 a.m. Victim stated she approached suspect, later identified as Kyria Pranala, who was sitting in the VIP section of the club and was booked by the victim, Miss Cameron. The victim stated the suspect was slumped over intoxicated in her section. The victim stated that the manager wanted the suspect removed. The victim stated that she was looking for security but couldn't find any at that time. The victim approached the suspect and stated that the suspect needs to be elsewhere. The suspect responded to the victim by stating in profanity, "I can sit wherever I want." The victim stated she told the suspect that she could sit anywhere but in this section. The victim, Miss Cameron, stated that when the suspect started to become aggressive towards the victim offered to help the suspect to a different seat. The victim stated that that's when the suspect charged at the victim. Victim, Miss Cameron, stated that the suspect hit her in the face, knocking her glasses to the floor. The victim stated that then she bent down to pick up her glasses and was punched in the jaw on the right side of her face. Ms. Cameron stated that throughout the entire altercation, security never came to help out. The victim stated She had to push through the crowd and run to the entrance where she notified the manager and security what happened. The suspect was found in the bathroom and escorted from the building. The victim went to St. Elizabeth's Hospital to get looked at. The victim stated she got a CT scan. The victim stated after the scan, the doctor told her she had post-concussion symptoms. The secondary report written by Detective, now Sergeant Dugal, reads as follows. At about 11:45 p.m. on Sunday, October 19th, Detective Dugal and Walsh responded to 100 Warrington Street for a code 35. Detectives issued the establishment a violation for 1, patron-on-patron assault, and 2, failure to contact 911 for the incident that took place on 10/13/2024. Manager Tony John accepted violation and was cooperative. His second supplementary report, and it's at the time Detective Dugal's investigative or complaint report. And the first section of it just reiterates what Miss Cameron alleged happened at the club. It then goes, the suspect, Miss Pernella, was escorted out of the establishment by venue staff. Victim Cameron was now accompanied by her co-worker, Ace Gershfeld, who took multiple still photographs of the suspect and was now standing outside venue on Warrington Street. Ms. Cameron then displayed the suspect's photo on social media and received a response that the suspect's name was Kyria Pernella. Detectives were able to locate Kyria Pernella with her date of birth and a CJIS search. Ms. Pernella's license photo appears to be the same person as the suspect in the photograph. Detectives attempted to speak to Ms. Pernella with no avail. A complaint was sought in Boston Municipal Court against Ms. Pernella for one count of assault and battery. That's the extent of the police reports.
Thank you very much, Attorney Evliades. Would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, first of all, for the Boston Police Department, you weren't there on that particular night, nor did you take the report, did you, sir?
The report wasn't taken until 2 days later when the person walked into District 1 and reported it to the front desk. So no.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to call Kevin Montgomery. Kevin.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Could you state your full name for the record?
Kevin Montgomery.
And are you employed by Paga Inc.?
Yes, I am.
And what is your title there?
I'm the head of security there.
And were you made aware of an incident that happened on October 13th, 2024?
Yes, I was.
And did you conduct an internal investigation regarding that incident?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell me in your own words what happened that evening? First of all, how many people did we have working security that evening?
15.
And where are they dispersed throughout the club?
It's just strategically throughout the club, so it's like corner, middle, corner. And then you have roamers all around the building, and it's like 15. So no matter where you are, you're accessible to a view of the nightclub.
And do you know where this VIP section was?
Yes, it's on the left. If you're standing out on the stage, it's to the left of the stage if you're standing out.
And do you commonly keep security personnel on the stage?
At a minimum of 2.
And would they have a direct view to this area, the VIP?
Yes, absolutely.
So what did you determine, or what did you find out from interviewing the staff and security at Paga?
That there was no physical altercation to be seen there at that time. She came downstairs. She complained about a customer. We went upstairs and escorted the customer out.
And she was complaining that that customer was encroaching on her VIP space?
Yes.
Okay. And the person was escorted out with no incident, correct?
Correct.
And are you aware that there were, or did anybody tell you that there was police officers there at the time?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to call Ace Gershfield, please, unless you have any questions for this witness.
Not at this time.
Okay. Ace?
Yes. Hello,
State your name for the record, please.
Ace Gershfield, Director of Marketing and Promotions,
How long have you worked for Paga Inc.?
20 plus years.
And were you working on the night in question?
Yes.
And where were you when this incident on October 13th happened?
I was at the front door.
And can you tell us in your own words what you saw or heard?
Lauren just came to the front and said that she needed some assistance upstairs, that there was an incident at her table.
And was the incident something about someone encroaching on her table space?
Yeah, she asked if she could have some help upstairs, that there was an issue at the table.
Were there police present at that time at 100 Warrington Street?
Yes, there was police eventually outside.
Okay. And did they speak to both the person that was escorted out and to the alleged victim?
Yes, I saw them speak to, I guess, the person that was escorted out. Not aware of her name, and I don't recall a conversation with Lauren or not.
Okay. As the person who was escorted out, was there any incident involving her? Did she seem violent, or did she throw any punches or anything like that?
I just saw her across the street with her friends. They were all, I guess, laughing and joking around across the street.
Lauren, what did she do after the person was escorted out?
We were just talking about it. We checked on her, made sure if she was okay.
And
She was,
did she go back into the establishment?
I believe she went back inside. Yeah, briefly.
Okay. I have no further questions for this particular witness. I have Shirok Reza, who is the Director of Operations, on if you need to ask any questions regarding the amount of security that was working that night and the internal investigation that was done following up on us being delivered the violation on, I believe it was October 19th.
Great. Does Mr. Reza have specific testimony he'll be providing the board at this time, or are you asking to move to questions from the board?
Nothing specifically more than the fact that the security that was working that evening was interviewed, that the evening was a slower evening. It did not have any kind of issues that happened. Someone came down to the front door where there was security and management complaining about their space being violated in the VIP section. That person was found, escorted out without incident. There were police on scene at the time, and the night went on again without incident until closing.
With that, we'll see if there are any questions from the board at this time. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
Yes, I have a question. You said there's 15 security on a night like this. And I might have missed this, but how many members of the security team are stationed at the VIP level?
Kevin?
Good. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yes, at the VIP level, there's a minimum of three staff, 1 to the exit and 2 on stage.
Okay, so does security check to make sure that the people that are going into the VIP section actually have tickets for the VIP section?
There's no special tickets for the VIP section. There's just
There's a guest list where people have to be checked into that area, correct?
Yes.
Chairman, is actually a table that the customer reserves, and that becomes a VIP section for them. So
Okay.
this young lady had booked a table, and when her guests arrived at the table, there was somebody else allegedly sitting, and she went on to tell them that they're not supposed to be there and they need to remove themselves from the section and etc. And that's how the VIP section is kind of.
Okay, so when you interviewed the staff after this incident, what did you determine? How did this person get to sit at this VIP table?
Well, the issue was the way she had approached this particular customer, rather than maybe identifying herself or somehow she asked them the wrong way to get out of that section.
Okay, that's not what I asked, though. I respect that answer, but how did this person get there if they weren't on the list?
No, like I said, once they get inside the club, everybody is in the same space. If they have a table, they can go to that little table area of their own.
If I may,
But this person didn't have this person was not supposed to be at the VIP table, and you said there's a list. Who's checking the list and checking IDs to make sure that Kathleen Joyce isn't sitting at Liam Curran's VIP table?
Well, it's not so much that we can check and see where you're sitting, it's so much that you have reserved the table. Once you arrive, we take you to your table. The hostess will take you there. And then from there, the waitress takes over and serves you. But that table's still in the common area. And
Okay, so it's up to the person to say, this person is not a member of my party?
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's what I was trying to get at.
Yes,
I
sorry
have no
about
other
that.
questions. Commissioner
Sorry.
Carr, no Commissioner Saxon?
I have no questions, thank you.
In light of this incident, do you feel the need to change any of your processes or procedures regarding the VIP?
To be honest with you, ma'am, again, it was the question of how she approached the other party and asked them to be removed. And, you know, normally the hostess walks in with the VIP person or the person who's reserved the table and the hostess walks them in and sits them and hands them over to the waitress. This young lady took it upon herself to get into that middle of that transition, basically, and took it upon herself to ask the customer to remove herself, not in a so nice manner as the customer alleges. And that's what triggered the altercation. So normally there is a procedure of taking the person from the door, checking him into the table, handing him over to the waitress, and the waitress serves them from there. I'm more than happy to listen to any suggestions that anyone would have to help the situation, but it was an unfortunate situation that we were put in the middle of.
Thank you. Anything further from the board at this time? Board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Calling item number 2, The Next Place LLC, doing business as The Greatest Bar, located at 262 to 266 Brenda Street, date of the incident February 21st, 2025. Assault and battery, employee on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, members of the board, Attorney Kurt Bletzer for The Next Place LLC. With me also is Anthony Costa, one of the managers, Dan Crowley, one of the managers, and Jovan Beal is coming on shortly, I hope. He is the security manager.
Thank you. And Mr. Crowley, is that you with this iPhone? Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Cabal's not here, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you very much. Can you all please raise your right hand? Just waiting for the two gentlemen on Mr. Costa's screen.
Tony, if you can raise your right hand, you and Jovan, please, so you get sworn in.
Thank you. Do you all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Tony, you gotta unmute yourself.
Yep.
Unmute.
There we go.
Yes.
I do.
Thank you very much.
I do.
Lieutenant Detective Troy, if you could please read the report into the record for the board.
Certainly, reading a report written by Officer Kamal on February 21st, 2025. It reads as follows. About 2:14 a.m. on Friday, February 21st, 2025, Officer Cabal responded to a radio call for a verbal dispute at 235 Friend Street, the Greatest Bar. On arrival, officer met with the victim, Mr. Flynn, who stated that one of the suspects, who was a bouncer at the location, stated had ejected the victim from the bar after the victim had purchased a round of 4 beers. The victim further stated that one of the suspects had elbowed the victim, causing the victim to lose his right eye contact. The victim at the time was uncooperative and appeared to be intoxicated. The victim was accompanied by his friend, who was bleeding from his upper lip. The friend refused to give the officer his information and left the area prior to Boston EMS arrival. Officer then spoke to 4 separate bouncers which involved Mr. Beal, Mr. Sunas, Mr. Lopez, and Mr. Rice, who all stated that the victim and his friends were refusing to leave the premises at 2 a.m. Suspects informed bouncers informed the officers that the victim and his friends had attacked the bouncers, which has resulted in ejecting the victim and his friends. Sergeant Conroy also responded and conducted a Code 35. Sergeant Conroy advised Tony Costa, who was the manager of the location, stated to save the video from the security cameras. There's, I believe, an additional report here written by Sergeant Conroy, and it reads as follows: at about 2:50 on Friday, February 21st, Sergeant Conroy conducted a Code 35 license premise check regarding an assault and battery at 262 Front Street, the Greatest Bar. Sergeant Conroy issued a license premise inspection notice to the Greatest Bar for assault and battery employee on patron, which was received in hand by staff member Tony Costa. That's the extent of the police reports.
Thank you very much. Attorney Bletzer, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Please, Lieutenant Detective Troy, it's my understanding that Detective Tom McDonough had followed up on the incident also.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his notes here, and I see that he did follow up and spoke to management and spoke to, after several attempts, spoke to the victim also.
Okay, and he did inform you that we had cooperated with him in terms of the investigation.
It notes that here. Yes, Counselor.
Thank you. The incident on that night, Tony Costa is here. It was the night of the USA-Canada game, and on the 4th floor we had a private party. And at the time, this individual came upstairs with one of his friends. It really was around 1:30 in the morning, toward closing time. Tried to get into the private party, was throwing some names around of people that he knew, and he was informed that he was not on the list. He was then directed to go back down to the 1st floor because the private party was on the 3rd and 4th floor. When he got to the 1st floor, there was no issues. Tony Costa informed Jovan Beal, security manager, that the individual coming down the stairs with the white hat on and his friend were not to come back upstairs because they were not on the list. They went into the bar. There was a group of them he was with. No incident, no issues in there. It got to be 2 o'clock. We had given last call at 1:45 in order to be able to clear everybody out on time. And at 2 o'clock, they were informed it was time to go. He again started throwing names around that he was entitled to stay, et cetera, et cetera. It turned into the staff getting him out the door. They actually got him out to the front door. When he turned around and started pushing and shoving the doormen, Jovan Beal, who's been the security manager for, I think, around 13 years, Jovan, at this point?
Yes.
Diffused the situation at that point. Took Mr. Costa. Actually, it's not. In talking to Detective McDonough, the individual's name was not Flynn. The report he indicated to me was wrong. I don't even know who the victim is, to be honest with you. But the name is not Joe Flynn. That's in the report from what Detective McDonough told me. But Mr. Beal took him outside, got him outside, diffused the situation, pulled him out. They all cooperated. He had informed one of the door guys to call 911. Police came, talked to our guys. We spent a lot of time talking to them, as Tony did. The Officer Cabal at the time had indicated that he was new in the area and was waiting for Sergeant Conroy to come by. And when Sergeant Conroy came by, they talked to all of our staff. Detective McDonough informed me that he looked at the body cam, and the body cam were the interviews with our guys, explaining that they were the ones that were assaulted by the kid and that they had diffused it, and nobody had assaulted him at all, other than Jovan removing him from the front door and taking him out into the street, where again there was some more pushing and shoving out there with him and some other folks. But that was pretty much the extent of what had happened. We cooperated after the fact. I did personally with Detective McDonough. He also followed up with Tony Costa to go through the details, and I informed him that we weren't interested in pressing charges against him. He told me that he had the information on the individual, had talked to him on one or two occasions, and then informed me as of last week that he had not heard back from him and it did not expect to be pursuing anything at this point. I do have, again, everyone that was there that night that's here to answer questions for the board, for anybody that has questions for them.
Great, thank you, Attorney Blitzer. With that, we'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
I don't think we got any video. Did you say you submitted it?
No, I didn't submit. We did have a problem. I
Okay.
went over it with Detective McDonough, but we had issues with getting it to translate to come out of the system. So
Okay, I must
we
have
didn't really
missed
have anything that was helpful.
it. Okay, I have no questions at this time. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon.
I have no question. Thank you.
None for me, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Calling item number 3, J Bond LLC, located at 25 Kingston Street, date of the incident, March 2nd, 2025. Assault and battery, robbery in front of the licensed premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 4, Chapter 265, Section 13. On behalf of the licensee.
Good morning, Commissioners. Executive Secretary Green, Mark of Liadis for J Bond LLC, doing business as FET. I have with me John Saman, who is the owner of the restaurant, and Paul DeSimone, who is the general manager and manager of record for the establishment.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Sergeant Detective Luke Taxter.
Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify on this matter? Can you all please raise your right hand? I don't see the two individuals on behalf of the licensee raising their right hand. There you go. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll be reading the police report into the record.
I can. At about 6 p.m. on 3/3/25, Typus Williams, while assigned to the front desk at A1, took a walk-in report for assault and battery. Cheyenne Raymond, the victim, reported that on 3/2/25 at approximately 1 a.m., she was outside FET, located at 25 Kingston Street, when a drink was thrown in her face. 5 men and 1 female then attacked Cheyenne. The assault included punching and kicking while she was lying on the ground. During the assault, Cheyenne stated that $725 and a gold necklace with a cross and heart attached was stolen. Suspects fled the area before police arrived. It should be noted that the police responded to the call, but there was no police report written. There's an incident report number here, 252-017-015. The second report is mine, and it reads as follows. On 3/20/2025 at about 10 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to licensed premise unit, responded to FET at 25 Kingston Street to speak with staff about an incident that occurred on 3/2/25 at about 1 a.m. The victim, identified as Cheyenne Raymond, walked into BPD Station A1 on 3/3 to report that she was assaulted and subsequently robbed in front of FET at 25 Kingston Street the evening before. Detectives then spoke to the manager, Mr. Thomas Muse, who stated that he was not there that evening. Detectives asked Mr. Muse to save any and all video evidence from that evening. As a result of what had occurred, Sergeant Gallagher issued a licensed premise inspection number 019644 to FET for assault and battery in front of premise and robbery. Mr. Thomas Muse signed for and accepted the notice. That's all I have.
Thank you. Attorney Evliades, if you would like to address the alleged incident.
Good morning, Sergeant Detective Gallagher. You were not present on that particular evening, or were you not the car that responded on that evening?
No, sir, I was not. I was working that evening. We were at City Hall. We heard the report come in. There was a rather large police response. I did not hear anything after that, and I did not respond.
Thank you very much.
Right.
I'd like to call first Paul Dismonte, who is the manager of record, but I'd like to state that after we received the actual violation on March 20th, some 18 days after this alleged incident, there was an internal investigation done, noting that there is on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays always a security presence in the front of the restaurant. That restaurant operates primarily as a restaurant serving lunch, dinner, and brunch 7 days a week. It only has a lounge atmosphere for Friday, Saturdays, and in doing so, that's when security is present. At that time, an investigation inside the restaurant in questioning of the security staff, no one had noticed any type of incident whatsoever that night, other than the fact that across the street and up the street on Kingston Street, there was a police car that pulled up for several minutes and then left. We checked security with if they heard anything or if the police ever talked to anybody, and nobody ever presented themselves to that restaurant. Inside the restaurant, there was no incidences that occurred that evening. I offer Paul Dismonte, who's the manager. Paul, will you state your name for the record?
Paul DeMarston.
And how long have you worked at FET?
Since opening, since we opened, which was about.
And you are the manager of record, correct?
Correct.
And did you conduct an internal investigation regarding this particular incident that happened on March 2nd, 2025?
Correct. As soon as we were aware of the notice, we checked in with employees that worked that night inside, and they didn't have any knowledge about what went on outside. Spoke to security, and like you mentioned before, the only thing that someone stated was that there was a police cruiser up the street, parked across during that night.
With security present, if at any time are you allowing, you don't have a front patio or something like that, correct? You don't allow alcohol or beverages to be removed from the restaurant?
No, there's 2 security guards outside, so it wouldn't.
I have no further questions for this particular witness. If you have any questions for him, I would just summarize that this may have been an incident that happened up the street or from another bar, but it wasn't something that happened in front of or inside of J. Bond.
Great. Anything further before we move to questions from the board?
I have the owner of the establishment present for questioning, but he would have the same testimony as the manager of record.
Okay, with that, we will see if there are any questions. Karen Joyce may have gone off for a moment. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions at this time?
Yeah, I have a question for probably the Boston Police. In the original narrative, right at the very end, it should be noted police responded, and it says no police report was written, and there's a number there. What does that number mean?
It means they asked for a report number. Someone keyed the mic and said, we're going to write a report, and nothing was written. Like I said, I was working that evening. I heard the call. I assumed it came from inside. Like I said, there was a large police response, and then there was nothing after that.
Okay. I guess the only other thing I like to do is just for the record, is the alleged victim, has the alleged victim joined us? Doesn't appear so, right?
No.
And they would have been notified of this hearing, is that correct?
Yes, sorry, Gallagher, I assume they were notified, correct? Yes.
I don't see it in the detective's notes. I see that they spoke to him, but spoke to the victim, and she reiterated that the event happened inside the club, that somebody threw a drink at her, and then there was a fight outside the club. but it doesn't make any notations that she was notified of this hearing.
I am being told by staff in real time right now that they were notified by our staff of this hearing.
Good to know. All right, that's all I have, I think. Thank you.
No additional questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Joyce, any questions?
No questions, thanks.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement. Calling item number 4, same licensee, J Bond LLC at 25 Kingston Street, date of the incident, March 8th, 2025. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, gun, patron on patron, ×2, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Attorney Mark Evliades, good morning, members of the commission, Executive Secretary Daniel Green. Today, for this particular violation hearing, I have with me the owner, John Saman, the executive chef, Eddie George, the general manager and manager of record, Paul DeSimonte, here for testimony.
Great, thank you very much. Great. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Police Officer Kevin Kennett.
Sergeant Detective Luke Texter.
Thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Detective Walsh is on as well.
Oh, thank you, Detective Walsh. Can you raise your right hand as well? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the report into the record for the board?
I will.
Thank you, Officer Knecht. You may please proceed.
About 12:23 a.m. on Saturday, March 8th, 2025, Officers Kennett and Dismaris in the Alpha 103 Alpha responded to a radio call for a person shot at 25 Kingston Street, Boston, Fett Restaurant and Lounge. Also responding was the Alpha 101 Alpha, the Alpha 102 Alpha, the Alpha 202 Alpha, the Alpha 437 Frank, the Alpha K1 Frank, the Alpha 411 Alpha, the Alpha 434 Alpha, the Alpha 426 Alpha, the Alpha 421 Alpha, the Alpha 411 Frank, the Alpha 437 Alpha, the Alpha 416 Alpha, and the Yankee 908 Sergeant Convoy. Upon arrival, officers observed a black male wearing a black jacket, jeans, and black and white sneakers walking with difficulties. The Alpha 1 Alpha was assisting. Victim number 1, identified as Samuel Higginbottom, DOB 102788, to ambulance 1 Alpha 01. Victim 1, Higginbottom, was transferred to Tufts Medical Center with a gunshot wound to the pelvis. While the Alpha 101 Alpha was at Tufts Medical Center, victim number 2, Hassan Daly, walked into the emergency room at 12:32 a.m. with an apparent gunshot wound to the right leg. Victim number 2, Daly, was dropped off by 2 unknown females. The Alpha 101 Alpha was unable to get a description or plate of the vehicle. The clothing of both victims were recovered by A1 detectives. Officers entered Fett, where 3 shell casings were located in the left seating area. In the front seating area, officers located 1 spent casing and a bloody footprint. Officers conducted a sweep of the rest of the establishment for more suspects or any other victims. The Alpha 202 Alpha was able to review the security cameras inside the restaurant and relay the descriptions of the 2 suspects. Suspect number 1 was described as a black male wearing a red hooded sweatshirt, black jeans, red shoes. Suspect number 1 produced a firearm and discharged it multiple times. Suspect number 1 then exited Fett at 12:22 and 50 at a.m. Suspect number 2 was described as a white or Hispanic male wearing a white shirt and blue jeans. At this time, the A1 Tactical Operations Center, Officer Muckahyde, was able to locate the suspects on the City of Boston Genetec cameras. Suspect entered a black Honda Accord with Vermont registration, Kilo Sierra X-ray 048, located on Otis Street at Summer Street. The A1 TOC was able to follow the vehicle via the cameras. This vehicle proceeded to Essex Street, where it turned right, going the wrong way onto Essex Street, then turned left onto Edinburgh Street, where it continued the wrong way. While on Edinburgh Street, the vehicle stopped, the passenger door opened, the suspect discarded an object. The vehicle then traveled to Surface Street, continuing to Neelan Street, and then fleeing the area via I-93 South at 12:27 a.m. The Alpha Kilo 01 Frank proceeded to Edinburgh Street, where they were able to locate 1 black Glock 19 9mm semi-automatic pistol with no magazine and an obliterated serial number. The firearm was placed next to the tire of a dark color Mazda CX-5, Mass Reg 4 Romeo Golf Delta 85 that was parked on Edinburgh Street. Detective Walsh recovered the firearm from the scene. At the original scene at 25 Kingston Street, officers were able to move all the remaining individuals inside FET to an adjacent area where their information was collected. The Alpha 983, Sergeant Detective Taxter, and the Alpha 801, Detective Walsh, arrived to process the scene. A license premise violation was issued to FET by the by the Yankee 908, violation number 021453.
Thank you very much, Officer. Attorney Evliades, if you'd like to address the alleged incident.
Good morning, officer. On the night in question, you were actually there, correct?
I was.
And did the management and staff and security cooperate and provide you what you needed regarding this particular incident?
Somewhat. Some did, some were reluctant.
As far as the management, you were able to secure the video from the evening within the establishment?
Yes, there were difficulties, but I do believe that they ended up getting the video.
Okay. This particular incident, first and foremost, the management and the owners and the staff want to express their prayers and sympathy for everyone who was affected by this night. As stated before in the prior hearing, FET is primarily a restaurant serving lunch and dinner 7 days a week and brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. On the day in question, it was a slow night. We have a capacity of, I believe, 212 persons. There was only 70 people at the establishment. For that, we had a total of 20 personnel working, 4 bartenders, 4 servers, 4 security staff, 3 support staff, 4 kitchen staff, and 2 managers. There was an internal investigation along with multiple questions and sit-downs with staff to try to establish the exact timing of events that happened on this particular evening. At approximately 11:15, 2 patrons entered the establishment and sat at the bar. Identifying these patrons so that it is similar to the police report, this would be suspect number 1 and suspect number 2. Suspect number 2 was wearing a white shirt with blue pants. Suspect number 1 was the red shirt, hoodie, black pants, a baseball cap, and red shoes. Approximately 20 to 30 minutes later, another 2 gentlemen walked in, and once again, identifying them through the police report, it was victim number 1 who was wearing a black jacket, jeans, and a black and white sneakers. His name was identified as Huntingbottom, and victim number 2, Hassan Daly, wearing what we believe is a green hoodie with a black jacket over it. The parties at that point in time, a few minutes in, started to have disagreement, to which the bartender picked up on it and spoke to security. Security went over to talk to them, and their response was that the parties knew each other and that everything was good and that they were just having some fun. Security called over another party of security to keep an eye on them. This began to escalate. Assuming that there was going to be some issue, the security stepped in between the parties and tried to give them some distance. At that time, one of the victims, victim number 1, threw a punch that hit one of the suspects. Immediately, pushing and shoving happened. The 3rd security personnel came over trying to get the aggressive parties, who are listed here as victims, towards the front door. Within seconds, suspect number 1 reached under his baseball cap and produced a firearm and shot into the crowd. At this point of the investigation, and after discussing and questioning a multitude of employees, most people ran, hid, they grabbed patrons, they brought them into the kitchen, They were trying to get out of the line of fire. The two suspects fled out, and within moments, police were there. It should be noted that the establishment called the police department as soon as hands went on anybody, and we cooperated with the police department to provide the security footage that we had that evening that allowed them to be able to identify the persons and eventually arrest the suspects. I have with me today, Eddie George, who is the executive chef. Eddie, are you there? Hello?
I do not believe he's with us. The only two individuals who raised their hand earlier were the proposed manager of record and Mr. Saman.
I see his phone number's there. Maybe he's on mute. It's a 781 phone number.
His testimony is of some importance because he had a direct line of view to the the suspect one who produced the firearm from underneath his hat.
Hello?
Hello?
Mr. George?
Hello? Yeah.
I see that you're calling in. We need you to be testifying under oath. Is it possible to turn your camera on so the board can see you and swear you in?
Yes, one second. I would have to call back. Is that okay?
No, George, just turn on your phone, your camera.
Yeah, he's on a device that doesn't have video capabilities. I can't ask him to turn on his camera.
I tapped in from the link, from the phone link. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We cannot see you.
Is there some way of swearing him in audibly?
Chairman Joyce, would you accept an audible swearing in, or would we like Mr. George to call back in on a device where we can see him to be sworn in for this?
Is it possible for him to call back? It's just a little easier to talk and question somebody face to face as opposed to a telephone image, or no? I mean, this is, it's too bad this wasn't straightened out beforehand and you weren't prepared.
Sorry about that. I saw the one tap phone entry and I tapped that.
Yeah, Mr. George, if there's another device you can try to call back in on, or if you have a Zoom app, I'm not quite sure what to say about that.
I have the Zoom app. I'm gonna try attempt to get through on that one right now.
Is there anyone else, attorney, you can move on to while
Yes,
he
of
brings us
course.
out?
Of
Great.
course. So, Paul, this morning, state your name for the record, please.
Paul DeMarston.
And what is your title at FET?
General manager.
And
General manager, can you hear me?
how long have you worked there?
Since the beginning, about 3 years
And
ago.
is it fair that we spent a lot of time doing an internal investigation regarding this particular matter?
Correct.
And were you working on that evening?
Yes.
And how many security personnel did we have working on that evening?
I believe about 5.
Would you say that we had approximately 20 personnel staff working that evening?
Correct.
And how many people did we have in as patrons?
Probably, you say 70, I feel like it's less, but under 70.
Under 70. Were you able to speak with the staff as far as how did the security respond at the time that there was a disagreement between these parties?
Yes.
Could you state in your own words what happened?
So from my understanding is that as you stated, there was a disagreement that looked like a disagreement between the two parties, and one of the security personnel went over to, check in on the situation. Both parties had stated that, they're working it out. It's fine. It's nothing to be alarmed about. But the security ended up having a guy stay there to, monitor the situation. And at some point, it seems like the disagreement escalated, and the security called additional guys to come in between and try to de-escalate the matter. At that point, as you can see, while the security staff is in between both parties, one of the aggressive party threw a punch around the security, and that's when they're being pushed towards the front, and the one of the suspects, while this is going on, pulls out the firearm and this discharge.
How quickly did the police respond after the incident?
It's rather quickly.
And in your opinion, did everybody inside the restaurant, as far as employees and management, cooperate with the police department?
To my knowledge, yes. I don't remember any resistance from anyone. We're more than happy to share every piece of information we had to make sure, we did our part.
And as far as corrective measures, if there can be any in this type of situation, have you taken any corrective measures or steps to see if we can ensure something like this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, so strict dress code policy was instated. No hats or whatsoever is allowed in the building for, any kind of situations. We also, due to the fact that there was a breach of security, we had to terminate the company that we were using for security services, and we've hired internal security, and we also have been working with outside security companies till we find one that we're truly confident would make sure that this doesn't ever happen again. And we did go over, evacuation procedures and provided some counseling from the Boston Public Health Commission for our staff. So,
thank you. I would have, if we could get the executive chef, Mr. George, on, I would have him testify to the fact that, again, he had a direct line of sight as this was happening, that the security did present itself and keep an eye on the situation and try to de-escalate. And once the punch was thrown, try to make sure that the aggressors, who are listed as the victims inside of the police report, the initial aggressors, were brought towards the front door. But the oddity of this situation is that someone actually produced a firearm from underneath their baseball cap. And he saw that. And
I believe he is with us now, if Mr. George would like. Mr. George, is that you on Edward's iPhone? Great. I'm going to ask you to unmute, but first, you were not sworn in as you were not on camera, so could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Oh, wait, I couldn't hear you.
Mute.
Nope, he's not on mute. We cannot hear you, Mr. George.
All right.
Can you see him?
We
Yeah.
can see him. We
There's
can
no-
keep trying to speak. And let's try again. He's been unmuted, but cannot hear him. Audio is not working.
I apologize to the board. I had set
Yeah,
up these, and sent the links to people several days ago after we had gotten the notices so that they all had the opportunity to be able to come on and testify. Uh,
is that the end of your witnesses, attorney?
I have the owner, who was not there, on deck, but if I may summarize, the management has made the decision to increase the dress code to include no caps, and we have terminated services of the current security team. The unfortunate part about it is, again, we had 4 persons working. We have a metal detector they use upon entry after a certain period of time, usually around 10 o'clock. They have a policy in effect where there's 2 people out front, a woman and a man. The man and women are checking IDs, checking women's purses, and metal wanding people to make sure that, as the gatekeepers, no contraband and/or weapons come into the establishment. We have a zero tolerance policy for that. That being stated, somehow someone was able to penetrate our front doors with a firearm underneath their baseball cap. Security did, I think, without knowing that there was a gun involved, the best they could initially. But upon interviewing almost everybody who was working that night, the moment that a shot went off, the bartenders dropped behind the bar. The waitresses grabbed patrons and brought them into the back to secure them in the back where the kitchen was. The kitchen staff went back. You can see on the video itself how empty the club is the moment, several seconds after the first shots were fired. So I would ask the board to take that into consideration, and that fact that the police department had a difficult time getting the security footage off of our particular computer. So we allowed them to take the whole computer.
I understand. I know you called the office about that yesterday. I'm comfortable with that. Any final thoughts? I have questions.
Please.
Okay, my first question is for Officer Connect. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. You testified that some employees were cooperative, some were not. Can you describe that a little bit more?
I would say the management level of the staff were very cooperative. They were more than acquiescing to kind of get control of the lower level. Now they testified that they had a hired security company. Those may have been the individuals that were less, they were more reluctant to speak to us to give us any kind of information about what had happened. There was one individual who was, it might be the security guard that they're talking about, that was kind of pushing them out the door. He would tell us everything that was happening because he was the closest to the firearm when it went off. But like I said, management, they were more than forthcoming. It was kind of just the lower level of security that was more reluctant to talk to us.
Okay, thank you. Sergeant Detective Taxter, you were there processing the scene. Do you have anything you want to add?
I guess the only thing I would add was that, according to what I observed on surveillance video, it didn't appear that that security guard at the front door was using a metal wand to wand people as they came in. I actually remember seeing the wand when I was processing the scene with Detective Walsh, and it was inside of the club.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful. So my questions now for you, attorney. So let me see. Is it Paul D testified today as manager?
Yes.
But he's not the manager of record, right?
I said, Mr. Reza was the manager of record. He gave his, he's not an owner there. He was listed as the manager of record to help bring this restaurant up to speed type of thing. He gave his resignation, I believe it was, a month before this incident happened. We've been trying to get someone to come in and list as minute. I actually have filed the manager of record application. I understand that I am short an updated query report, because the query report that I filed was
I was just wondering why there was a disconnect there.
so we're hopefully in front of the board to have this memorialized and made official, but Paul is the acting manager of record.
Okay, so do you have these internal reports that you are speaking about today? You said there were multiple internal meetings, sitting down with staff, and there was internal reports. Do you have those internal reports to share with the board?
Yes, I will absolutely get those together and get them over to the board.
Yes. All right, so my questions, you were before us in, let me see, 2023. We have, hold on, I'm looking at the wrong. I have updated written memorandum regarding your policies, procedures, rules, and regulations from September 15th, 2023.
Yes.
Okay.
In those security measures, one of them is that, we're checking IDs, the IDs that we accept, the IDs that we don't accept, and the fact that we do metal wand at a certain point in time, just to make sure
It actually says, I'm just going to jump in because you've had an opportunity. It actually says that you will metal wand every patron. It doesn't say after a certain time. Let me just read it. Says searches. All patrons and independent contractors must be searched prior to entering the restaurant by using either magnetometers or metal detectors. That was not the case. I watched the video with my own eyes and people were patted down. No person with a firearm or any other dangerous weapon is allowed in the restaurant. I would have to jump to the conclusion, should you have been using these wands, the firearm under the person's hat would have been detected. That's just a conclusion that I jumped to based upon the video that I watched.
Madam Chairwoman, I agree, and that's why we've terminated their services.
Okay, but this was written and submitted to the board, I believe, by you in September 2023, and ultimately, FET is responsible for third-party contractors too. So the fact that these people were not searched properly according to this policy and procedure that you submitted to us a year and a half ago is problematic to me, very problematic. Let's see. So we'll wait on the internal reports. We'll wait on the submission of the change of manager. And I would expect that anyone that is working for you, whether it's top level management or lower level security, is trained in the importance of cooperating with the police. I think I repeat this on every single hearing. To me, that is a very serious violation if there's not cooperation. I think it actually goes towards obstructing justice here. So it's pleased to hear that you fired that security, but that goes to show that they weren't properly trained leading up to this night. So you described this place as a restaurant, mostly. I watched the video. It didn't appear there was more people standing than there were sitting eating dinner. So do you want to talk a little bit about how
It is a restaurant Monday, most of the week, for lunch, dinner, and brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. On 2 or 3 nights of the week, on the weekend, it morphs into a lounge area, i.e., that's when security staff is present. That's when people come in, and although there are, I believe, bites to eat available, it's more like bar bites. But for the majority of the week, they are a restaurant, and I believe it's a Creole-style restaurant. That's why I wanted to get the executive chef on today. I apologize that he was unable to give testimony.
Yeah, that's fine. I understand, a chef's duties are to prepare food that attracts people. I'm more concerned about how on this particular night people were allowed in and no one was wanted. And I mean, when that happens, it would be foreseeable to me that someone with a gun would be allowed in if they weren't wanted.
I believe that people were wanted, and I believe that people were pat frisked. I don't believe that maybe this person was wanted. I don't have the full video, madam, so I can't.
I don't have the full video, but I saw a lot of video. And the police testified that the wand was inside when they arrived.
The wand would have probably been brought inside because I think when security all gathered to disperse these people, the person with the wand would have brought it inside.
So is someone here from security?
No, we've terminated their services.
Okay. So Paul, you were the manager that night. Are you testifying under oath that people were wanded?
I will testify that we have multiple wands, and it's more than one wand, and it is protocol that they are. I'm not outside, so I cannot give testimony.
So in your internal reports, you had several sit downs with people, multiple sit downs. This is the exact quote from the attorney. Would you say, did you interview the security? Did they wand that night?
I believe Mark would be able to answer some of that. What security mentioned about wanding, if it's their sworn testimony that they wanded. But I know that when you come to the restaurant, they have it outside in their hand. It's
I'll have to rewatch the video. I watched it a couple times. Based upon the angles, I didn't see any wand, so I'm led to believe no one was wanded and that someone brought a gun in under their hat and shot up the restaurant. And this could have been a really even more serious situation. So no one here can testify that they wanded. I know there was several wands available, in that your security plan from 2023 said every single person is wanded, not just after a certain time. I just am left with more questions than answers, but I will turn it over to Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon.
So first of all, I endorse the chair's all of her points made regarding the previously submitted plan, and you know, there's no time on this wanding, so I think we need to get that straight. You know, you stated to us that all people will be searched with magnetometers and metal detectors, so that clearly hasn't happened here. Whether some people were and some people weren't, I don't know. I'll watch the video as well. What a point I've been making lately to a lot of places, and it seems to be falling through the cracks, is not just policies and procedures, but communicating those policies and procedures to all of your employees, whether they're direct employees or third parties. At the end of this security plan that you submitted to us, it indicates that you're going to have all employees and third party employees sign this. Do you have any evidence that you've done that this has been trained to the third party security company and that they've signed and acknowledged that they have to follow these rules?
I am happy to investigate that and get back to you.
Okay, I would like to see signed these rules signed by every single person that was on duty that night, especially your security. That's what I would expect in any incident regarding this, that you know, that you're telling us that you have rules, that the employees have been trained on it, and that it's well documented. So that's all I would add to the chair's points regarding these rules and the failure to do searches on this evening. Thank you.
Nothing to add here. I'm actually watching the video now, and I do see breaches. So it's, you guys are really lucky that nothing more serious came of this, but is there any chance in talking to the now former security team just to see exactly what happened? Even you know, the police investigation, is anyone actually talking to the former security team?
If I may, I spoke with the owner of Mass Protective Services. His first name is James, and the other security personnel that were working there that evening. I got the distinct feeling that they were trying to cover their back as opposed to being forthright with what was happening that particular evening. This is prior to us terminating their services. I wanted to at least talk to them. They were very upfront about the fact that they were Johnny on the spot there when there was just an argument, because one of the bartenders had put them on notice that she thinks that these people are talking to each other a little bit elevated, and that they were in the middle of the situation before it really escalated till one of the victims actually threw a punch. And prior to the gun, which was just seconds later being presented, they were dispersing and separating the two groups. So I could absolutely call and see if they could have some testimony or an affidavit put on as far as the wanding is concerned. I understand that a year ago, or more than a year ago, this particular establishment had a couple of issues, and we revamped everything. And thank God for the past year, we have been problematic free for the most part. And we hope to.
You revamped everything, but you didn't abide by your own protocols. You can't testify today that everyone was wanted. You actually testified that people are not wanted and they're only starting to be wanted after a certain time. So that is like completely the opposite of what you submitted to us. And you had an absentee manager. I mean, all of these things, in my mind, would make a shooting like this foreseeable. But
during the day, and this may have been my miss, but during the day, well, it's lunch and dinner. People are coming in with family members, they're having dinner at the establishment. We don't have security posted outside. So we don't have at that time, because it's just lunch and dinner and brunch service, security posted outside where we're wanding families as they come in the door. It's when the establishment closes down dinner officially and we start, as I said, on the couple nights that we do, the lounge, then security is there and they should be wanding everybody.
When you end dinner, do you close down, empty the place out, and then readmit?
You'd have to ask the manager of record.
who's not here?
No, the manager of record is here. It's or the general manager, Paul.
He's not the manager of record. We haven't approved him yet.
Does Paul have an answer for us?
Is this a question you can answer?
So it's gonna happen next.
I think is he frozen?
Paul, are you with us?
Yes, I'm right here.
Great. There was a question from the commissioner about the procedure when dinner service ends, whether or not the establishment is closed down, emptied, and then re-entry for the nightclub time. Is that a question you can answer?
Sure. Typically, not exactly. Are you saying that we clear the building out and start the lounge?
Do you have like a time where you reset?
I've seen it done before, but I can't say that. I can't speak.
It's not your typical procedure. So people who were there for a late dinner could hang out and just go right all through the evening.
Granted, yes.
Yeah. So that could be problematic, based on your previous procedures. That might be something you need to look at as well.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, what is the capacity? It looked like there were a lot of people.
The capacity is, I believe, 212, and that evening there was approximately 70 people in there. It looks a little crowded from one or two of the camera angles because of where the bar is situated. Behind the bar, there is a small staircase that goes up into a larger dining room, and in the front of the restaurant, there is a dining room. So 212, I believe, is capacity, and at that on that evening, there was 70 persons there, patrons.
I've just pulled up the license. The capacity is 210.
210, excuse me.
Mr. Reza, I see you've unmuted yourself. You are the approved manager of record still at this point. Was there something you want to add? Yeah, I know you've been sworn in previously in this hearing.
Yes, I just wanted to jump in. I stayed on board just in case if Madam Chairwoman or any of the members had questions, because I'm still, as she said, the course maybe hasn't been passed yet. In that particular night, I was called in immediately, and I was there within minutes of what happened. It was very unfortunate situation. Paul was there, the manager, the gentleman that's there right now as well. And I know Sergeant Detective Texera. I was working with him mostly, and I hope we did everything we could to accommodate whatever the detective needed it, including pulling out the DVR and just handing it to them, and you know, let them do whatever they needed. And you know, honestly, other than this particular guy hiding a gun under his hat, I believe is a great establishment. They have, you know, employed multiple people. It's a very hardworking crew, and it's a shame that this situation has been put them in the middle of it. I don't think anybody that worked there ever anticipated having to encounter something like this. But I mean, they're not perfect, but for the most part, everything that was brought to you on that security measure was implemented. Not using the metal detectors before 9 p.m. But other than that, and that's just because the clientele that we get is very there's an older crowd and his families, and so we never saw the need for it. But I'm sure from here going forward, they will be doing that. But I just, like I said, my name was still on it, so I didn't leave. I wanted to make sure everything was okay, and I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
I just have one last question. What time did the suspect enter?
To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure that. Maybe Detective Texera, who reviewed the videos and broke it down, can help you on that to answer that question. But they weren't there that long. Is my understanding that they were not there that long.
I'm looking at the notes now to see if it's in here.
Hello, Detective.
I had written down, I think Attorney Evliot is in his opening statement said that they entered around 11:15 and sat at the bar. Is that correct?
That information came from the bartenders who served those particular individuals.
There's also, I believe, a timestamp on them coming in, because I can see them coming in. They got patted down, the hats don't come off.
It was clearly a lapse in the judgment from the security guard that was in the front, Madam Chairwoman. That should have, we do have, I mean, that is a regular security check to have people remove their hats and look underneath it. But again, unfortunately, I can't give you any excuse for it other than lapse of judgment of that particular security working that night. And I apologize for that.
So it sounds like we can all agree that the individual with the red sweatshirt and the hat on his head was patted down. He was never asked to take off his hat.
I believe so.
Not wanted. I think that is agreed upon here.
I believe so, ma'am.
Okay.
Are there any further questions from the board at this time?
I do have another comment for the premises, because they have stated that they're looking once again to employ a third-party security company. I think that, you know, we've talked about this with other incidents recently. So, you know, my understanding is me personally, I want to see, you know, a serious agreement between you and this third party, really laying out what the responsibilities are, who is going to be vetting, who is going to be the security for your premises, and what the training is going to be, what the expectations are going to be, what those employees of that the security company are agreeing to by going to your premises and being security. So, that stuff can't be informal. Like I'm hearing a lot of stuff like that, they just kind of leave it to the third party. You guys got to have a concrete understanding and agreement of all the aspects of what this will entail, and addressing, all pertinent requirements in writing. And I think I'll probably raise at deliberation that I'll actually request that from you when it does happen. So that's all I'd like to say. We're just seeing too much of this reliance on third party. We just hired a third party. As you know, Attorney Epiglatis, it's not a delegable duty. It's on you. You guys have to monitor this, during the hiring process, during the vetting process, and basically every night too. You have to make sure, your management has to make sure that this third party is doing what they agreed they were going to do.
Understood.
And I can't agree more with Commissioner Curran. He summed up really well. And I feel like we do need to take a minute to talk about that here where the staff is, because they don't usually join us at the deliberation. It's just not okay to say, oh, that was a third party security. We fired them. I mean, we hear that over and over and over. So what he's asking for you to submit goes above and beyond. You are responsible ultimately for your third party security. It's not okay to say they're not employees. They're contractors. Your security and operations plan has a signature page for them or whoever your third party security is. So we expect to see proof of when they trained them. I can't emphasize enough how serious this is in the eyes of the board. And it's like on repeat, you come in and say, oh, it's a third party security company, we fired them. They're not here right now to talk about it because they're no longer employed by us. Not okay.
And just to add to that, Madam Chairwoman, it was one of the last things that I asked Paul to implement right away was to obtain his own staff for security and people that are under his command 100% as opposed to a third party. And Paul had agreed to do that and work on it right away. So I know they were working on hiring their own security that's directly answers to them as opposed to a third party.
Okay, and if that's the case, it would be the same thing though. We'd want documentation that the staff you took on as your security were trained. We'd see what they were told when they were given that training, that they've acknowledged that training, that they're agreeing to that, right? That as employees, they're agreeing to carry out their duties. They're agreeing to, and one of those duties is to cooperate with the police during an incident. And one of their duties is to agree when there's an incident and when there's a hearing in front of us that they would agree to come before us and give testimony.
Couldn't agree with you more, Commissioner. And again, I want to jump in with Sergeant Detective Texera. I hope he could verify that I was there within minutes of the incident happening and kind of took over the communication with the detective, and we did everything we could above and beyond to cooperate. And I hope that Sergeant Detective can verify that I did everything I could to make sure that they have a smooth transition there of, looking at and investigating the situation. And I did everything I could in my power to make sure that they were accommodated the best we can.
Yeah, I agree. You were very helpful and it's appreciated, especially by giving us the DVR so that we could extract the video ourselves. Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
Thank you. Given all that, are there any further questions from the board at this time? Great. There were a couple of specific requests for the licensee. One is for all internal reports that are available, as well as any signed agreements by staff who were on that evening that they had received and understood the rules and the security plan in place at the time. Have I missed anything that the board has requested, or is that all? Great. With that, then the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Calling item number 5, Food Fiesta Group LLC, doing business as Casa Bonita Mexican Grill, located at 1033 Massachusetts Ave in Roxbury, dated the incident March 10th, 2025. Assault and battery, employee on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. And serving under 21 alcoholic beverages in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Sections 34 to 34A, 41, 64, 64A, and Board's Rule 1.08F. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Attorney Jennifer Allen for Casa Bonita, and also Felipe Duran is logged in, who is the owner and manager of Casa Bonita.
Thank you very much. I do see Mr. Duran. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective Paul Donlin.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Detective Jason Turcott, but I think he's on mute there. He's also on the case.
Thank you. I do see him. Great. Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Mr. Duran, can you please raise your right hand as well? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record for the board?
I can read it in if you'd like, Sergeant Detective Donlin.
Great. You may please proceed.
Thank you. At around 2:09 a.m., Officer Lynch in the Fox Gold Alpha responded to 1033 Mass Ave to investigate a person for an unknown event. Also responding was the Fox 982 Sergeant Detective Donlin, Fox Gold 2 Officer Smigliani, Fox 201 Alpha Officers Bartley and Desmandlis, and the Fox 412 Alpha Tejeda. Upon arrival, officer found 2 females standing outside of Liquorland, a short distance from the Casa Bonita Mexican Grill, a restaurant/club. The woman, later identified as Sheila Mora Perez, 19-year-old female, and her cousin, Marileda Perez Gutierrez. Both women were speaking Spanish. The Fox 412 Alpha Officer Tejeda was the primary interpreter for the Spanish-speaking persons on scene. The woman reported they were both inside the Mexican Grill at around closing time, and there was a dispute over Marileda Perez Gutierrez bar tab. During the dispute, Ms. Perez stated she was shoved out the door by staff and fell, injuring her shoulder. Boston EMS, Ambulance 92, Anselin Serrata, responded to the scene and transported Ms. Perez to Boston Medical Center for complaints of injuries to her shoulder, neck. Officers in the Fox 982 went to Casa Bonita where they were closing for the night. There were still employees and security on scene. Ms. Perez Gutierrez accompanied officer and pointed out security officer Christian Mariano as the one who pushed her cousin. Sergeant Donlin spoke with the manager, Victor Laura Brea. Sergeant Donlin issued City of Boston license premise violation number 026999 for assault and battery, employee on patron, and serving alcohol to a person under 21. The owner, Felipe Duran, approached officers a few minutes later. Sergeant Donlin informed him of the victim's allegations and asked if there was any camera footage of the incident. He stated he would have to look at the footage later as he could not access it at the time. Sergeant Donlin advised him to inform police when the footage was available. Mr. Christian Mariano was interviewed by officers, and he stated that the woman refused to pay the tab and he was removing them from the club. Mariano denied pushing Ms. Perez to the ground. Officer Lynch found prior incidents where Mr. Mariano had accusations of use of force leveled against him, and they referred to an incident report that was dated 2/7 of 2022. That's all I have.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective Donlin. Attorney Allen, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sergeant Donlin. A few quick questions for you. You arrived at the scene after the alleged incident, correct?
I wasn't there when it happened, but I believe I was the first officer on scene.
Okay, thank you. And upon arrival, where were the women? Where did you find the women?
They were just a couple of doors down on in front of Liquor Land on Mass Ave. It's adjacent to that property.
Okay. And you stated you didn't witness the incident or Sheila being thrown to the ground, right?
No, I did not.
Thank you, Sergeant. I'd like to call Felipe Duran. Mr. Duran, what is your role at Casa Bonita?
Hi, my name is Felipe. My role in Casa Bonita as I'm general manager on manager on record, but I wasn't the manager in charge of that night. But at the end of the night, I usually, because I live close by, I usually stop by before the closing time, make sure everything's being done correctly and the way it's supposed to.
Okay, so you were there the night of March 10th. Okay, and did you witness the incident between Mr. Mariano and Sheila Perez?
Yes.
Okay, and did you witness Mr. Mariano shove Sheila Perez, causing her to fall?
No.
So she didn't fall, or you didn't witness it? She
didn't fall at all.
Okay. In your words, can you tell me what happened during the incident and that night?
Basically, everything started. It was the end of the night. We just were wrapping up to end everything and send everything home. I mean, they stayed there until the end of the night, and there were some argument between the person who was serving them and this party. They were having problem to pay the bill, and they tend to pay the bill several times. I clearly remember 7 times with 2 different credit cards. And that's when those 2 ladies, there was like 4 or 5 ladies. I mean, but there was 2 particular ones who get irritated because the credit card didn't went through. And as we were explaining to them, hey, that's not our fault. You need to figure out with your credit card what's the problem. And that was but at some point, one of the lady, I mean, just separated, I mean, from the group and went into the main door and started talking with one of our guys, I mean, who usually serve as like security guys. And he understood, like, because of her behavior, like, things can get out of the hand, and he made the decision to remove the lady out of the place. I mean, at that moment, I mean, it wasn't the right way, but he just was doing his job. I mean, to make sure everything was secure and everything. I mean, he was a little bit scared for that moment, in that moment, to the situation escalate to a different level. And
Okay, and what happened after that?
And after that, I mean, I just tell him, I mean, to let her go. I mean, and I just tell the other girl, I mean, you can go. I mean, we can figure out this, I mean, this bill tomorrow. I mean, we can talk about it and let it go. And that was it. We understood everything was fine. I mean, we went and checked on her. Everything was fine. Nobody was injured. When I obviously 100% sure. I mean, always go over and ask if everything is fine, if they need any help and anything. And they say basically no. They looked like they were fine. One of the security guys escort her to the Liquor Land and say, hey, you're fine. Do you want to call the ambulance, or do you need any assistance? And say no. Everything was fine for us. But a few minutes later, the police show up, and they were saying like one of the lady was pushed to the ground. I say, when did that happen? I mean, because I didn't see that. I mean, I don't know at that moment, and that's why when I have to ask her, I mean, I need to take a look. I mean, to see if I missed something. I mean, but after I review all the videos and everything, and I noticed that didn't happen at all.
So did you call the police, or?
No, because we understood it wasn't even necessary. I mean, we understood that it was a normal incident. I mean, nothing really happened. I mean, it was everything all fine. I mean, until the police show up and say there was an incident in the restaurant, we understood that it wasn't even necessary.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Duran. In addition to both of the testimonies that you just heard, I also sent over the 2 videos showing the footage from the night of March 10th. Hopefully you're able to open those, and if not, I can get them to you a different way because I know that they were in a link. As you'll see if you watch the videos, video 1 is from the exterior of the building. Here you will see Sheila Perez, where she was allegedly pushed to the ground outside of Casa Bonita. You will see that she did not fall. In fact, for the next 5 minutes of the video, after she was removed from the premises, she then tried to get back into the venue, waving her arms and arguing with security. You will see that all the people in her party were argumentative, and security escorted them out and away from the premises for the safety of the patrons and the public. And it was the end of the night and they were closing. For video 2, which I also sent the link to, you will witness it from the inside of the restaurant, so you get both views. And you will see Miss Sheila Perez being forced out of the restaurant. Again, she didn't fall to the ground at any point. Mr. Duran takes the safety of his patrons and employees very seriously. After this incident, the employee at the door checking IDs was terminated, as well as Christian Mariano. Mr. Duran also reviewed all of the rules and regulations with all of the employees to ensure that there is not another incident like this. He also terminated the current security company he contracted with and engaged a new security company. He has had no prior violations at Casa Bonita and has taken corrective measures to ensure that this does not happen again. Upon your review of the footage, the information provided here, and the history, we ask you to dismiss the violation. And I know Mr. Duran is also logged in and happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairman Joyce.
A couple questions. So your explanation of the videos was helpful because I couldn't figure out the angles. The security, they're clearly wearing security uniforms. Are they employees or is that a third party?
Two of them are employees, and the other two belong to a company that are usually they're a subcontractor. Yeah.
Okay, so Christian Mariano, is he an employee or was he a third party?
No, he's an employee of the restaurant.
And how long did he work for you?
Like a year.
And he worked consistently for you for a year?
Yeah, without an incident at all. I was surprised. He acted that way because he's a guy really responsible and really helpful with our customer and all that. I was really surprised with the situation, to be honest.
Okay. All that being said, how did someone who was 19 get in?
I believe there was a fake ID because one of the video shows, the ID was checked. That's why the guy who checked the ID at the door, was terminated because we are usually ensure that we don't really want no one under 21 at our business after certain hours, and they know the rules. And I usually go over with them like almost every week to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to.
All right. So, what do you do? What do you use to check IDs?
Right now, they usually check. They notice. We usually go over every week to make sure they look what they have to look for in order to get the real ID. But at that particular night, one of the guy who wasn't at the door, who usually don't work at the door, approached the lady and checked their ID. And that might be the problem at that time. And that's why he was terminated as well, because he wasn't supposed to be at the door, because he usually doesn't work at the door. And that might be causing the problem. And that's why the company that we hire to take care of the door, they are 100%, they have all the knowledge, to make sure no one of the 19 go into the place.
Okay. Commissioner Saxon, Commissioner Curran, do you have any questions?
Do we have any video of the 19-year-old, her interactions with wait staff or the bar or anything like that? Because I don't see those.
I think so, but I have to double check because when the officer stopped by to get the video, we just focusing on the entry when the ID was checking, and when they at the end of night that they were interested to take a look at if this patient was actually pushed to the ground afterwards.
Okay, and when did she enter? Do you remember the time she entered?
I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I think it was almost 11. I think something.
Okay, and at that time, is it your policy to admit people that are under 21, or are you 21 plus at that time?
Have to be 21 plus for that time.
Okay, thank you.
I actually saw the point in which the patron was kind of pushed out the door. I'm not probably not using the right verb, but did you see that point, and did you talk to the security officer about that move? I mean, that could have been the point where the patron was claiming that their shoulder was bothered at that time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's not acceptable. I mean, that's not the way to treat a customer. Not at all. That's why he was terminated. Because I'm not gonna get to that point when I say he was right when it's not. Even though he was when he was supposed to, but that was not the way. There is another way to do their job. I mean, I want them to make sure. I want the other guy to make sure if they do something they're not supposed to, they will be fired as well.
Any further questions from the board? Okay, thank you. And there was a request.
I have a comment. I think Attorney Allen, you're probably on for the previous hearing in the matter about third-party security and just security in general, training, documenting, being, in the future, being able to show us that this security person was trained not to put their hands on people unless, true self-defense. This wasn't a self-defense situation, so he shouldn't have put his hands on her. So just an advisory again. I'm sure you heard it all, but those are going to be the expectations, especially if this was, a more serious event. I'm not saying that nothing happened here, but just want to advise as many premises as I can that these are the expectations going forward.
Yes, I did. And we had also discussed that as well, which is why we also went through the other corrective measures, him going through with all of his staff, even those that are serving the alcohol. That's also why he terminated that security guard, because even though, yes, I'm sticking to because she didn't fall, his actions were still not acceptable and still inappropriate for that. And regarding, he did not have the footage regarding the identification, but either way, we're not disputing that she was in after 21, and that's why that person that was checking IDs was also terminated, and he reviewed the protocols for identifying and checking IDs with everybody. We also discussed purchasing the ID scanner for the licenses to ensure whether it was a fake ID or not, just to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Any further questions from the board?
No questions, just a comment to Mr. Duran. When you're hiring future bouncers and security guards, I think you need to do a very thorough interview process, background check of the people that you hire. These are very, these situations with alcohol and trying to remove someone and verbal arguments, you need to find and hire people that are able to de-escalate these things and not put themselves in a situation where there could be it could lead to an assault. That being said, you should really interview all of your security staff and your bouncers, because I just advise you to. some of these security guards and bouncers move from place to place to place, and a lot of that they bring expertise, but they could also bring a history of issues that you may not be aware of as an owner unless you ask these very specific questions. So a quick check of this where people have worked before and the kind of situations they've been involved in goes a long way.
I just want to say something else. I mean, I usually take this very serious because that's not the way we're trying to do business. I mean, I was very surprised that night, and I immediately get to him and say, I think that's not the way we treat our customer. That's not the way you have to do your work. I know you got work to do, but you gotta be careful how you treat our customer, because that won't be acceptable at this place. And by this type of person who like to do the thing the right way, and that won't be acceptable in my place, not at all. That's why he was terminated. And anyone who do something that is not supposed to, it will be.
Thanks.
Thank you. There also was a request for any additional video from inside the premise showing the patrons' interactions with bar staff. So if that is available, please do forward that to the board. And otherwise, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 6, John J. Summers Co., Inc., doing business as the Green Dragon Tavern, located at 11 Marshall Street. Date of the incident, March 15th, 2025. Overcrowding, 175 mechanical count, capacity 147, house count 136, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03J and 1.06A and F. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Noelle Summers.
Thank you. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with first-hand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, if necessary.
Thank you very much. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
I will.
You may please proceed.
On 3/15/2025 at about 2:50 p.m., Lieutenant Detective Adrian Troy, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the licensed premise unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection of the Green Dragon at 11 Marshall Street. Detectives observed a line waiting to enter. As they approached, staff informed detectives that the house count was 136. Detectives observed the premise to be quite crowded. Lieutenant Detective Troy conducted a mechanical count, which resulted in 175 patrons being counted. The listed capacity of the premise is 147. Detectives relayed these results to management. As a result, what was observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued licensed premise inspection notice number 021252 to the Green Dragon for overcrowding, 175 in detectives count, house count 136, capacity 147. Ms. Noelle Summers signed for and accepted the notice. Staff was directed not to allow anyone in till the numbers came down. And that's what we have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Summers, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, I had actually done the count myself, and I don't know how I grossly underestimated the numbers. I also came out and had one of my doormen go in and do a count. That's typically, we'll send 2 in to do them. But after the detectives came and told us their count, we did stop letting people in, and then we kept our numbers under 20 for the remainder of the night and got another counter from one of our other places just to make sure that we had a new counter that was working correctly.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Commissioner Kern, Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
No questions.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this under advisement.
Thank you.
Calling item number 7, Fan Hall MV Restaurant LLC, doing business as Margaritaville, located at 300 Faneuil Hall Marketplace. Date of the incident, March 15th, 2025. Persons under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 34A, 34C, and 6464A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Tyler Hensler here for Margaritaville. Joining me is Kristen Mahone, who is the manager of record on the date of the incident, as well as Hector Pereira from the Margaritaville corporate team.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez again.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Detective William Gallagher.
Lieutenant Detective Adrian Troy.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Mr. Pereira, will you be testifying as well? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. If you could please proceed with the police report for the board.
Good morning. I'm going to read from a police report which I wrote on Saturday, March 15th, 2025. Lieutenant Detective Adrian Troy, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD licensed premise unit, along with A1 detectives, conducted a licensed premise inspection in Margaritaville. The detectives walked into the establishment. They observed multiple patrons drinking alcoholic beverages. Detectives noticed these patrons looked young, and they asked them to produce an identification to confirm their ages. The patrons initially stated they were 21 years old and provided driver's licenses that were eventually discovered to be fraudulent. The fraudulent driver's licenses were confiscated by detectives, and the following patrons were positively identified. Mr. Joseph Ramey produced a fraudulent Pennsylvania driver's license with his date of birth of 5/12/2002. His true valid Pennsylvania driver's license displayed his correct actual date of birth of 7/12/2005. Ms. Callahan Nicholson produced a fraudulent Connecticut driver's license stating that her date of birth was 12/2/2003. Her actual Connecticut driver's license confirmed her actual age of 12/2/2005. Ms. Annabelle Scheiberg produced a fraudulent Illinois driver's license stating that her date of birth was 8/25/2003. Her actual Minnesota driver's license confirmed her actual date of birth of 12/25/2005. And then finally, Miss Madison Ayers produced a fraudulent New Jersey driver's license stating her date of birth was 4/19/2003. Her actual New York driver's license confirmed her actual date of birth of 4/19/2006. As a result of, all of the individuals we summoned into court for persons under 21, possession of alcohol and false misuse of an armory document. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Ms. Kristen Mahone. As a result of what was discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 021255 for persons under 21 years old in possession of alcohol on premise. Ms. Mahone signed and accepted the notice. That's all.
Thank you, Detective. Attorney Hensler, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, Detective Hernandez, was the licensee and staff cooperative on the date of the incident?
Yes, very.
Thank you. That's all I have for the detective. I'm now going to call Kristen Mahone, the manager of record on the date of the incident. Kristen, could you state your name for the record?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. My name is Kristen Mayen.
Mayen, sorry. Kristen, can you turn your camera on? Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
There we go.
sorry.
So Kristen, what was your position on the date of the incident?
I am Assistant General Manager.
Okay. On the date of the incident, did you take any measures to ensure that there was extra security present?
Yes, we had 7 security guards. We had a security guard at each entrance with scanner devices scanning every ID into the building.
Okay, so these 7 security guards, were these from a security company that you hired?
Yes, Windwalker Security.
Okay, and then also some other employees from other Margaritaville locations, is that correct?
Yes, we had a general manager from Daytona up helping for that weekend as well.
Okay. And again, you had security at all entrances?
Correct.
Okay. And was security checking the IDs of everyone entering the premises that night?
Yes.
Okay, even regardless of age?
Regardless of age, yes.
Okay, and did they have an ID scanner at each entrance?
They did.
Okay. Did they scan everyone's ID regardless of age?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know what kind of scanners they used?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know how old they are?
They're pretty new, I believe.
Okay. And these scanners, do they receive software updates? Do you know?
I believe when they got them, yes.
Okay. So once inside, after their ID is scanned at the entrance, would a patron's ID be checked again at any point?
Every time they get a drink, yes.
Okay, so they're checked again at the point of service.
Yes.
Okay. What if they're at a table? Are they checked at tables?
Yes.
Okay. So everyone inside is to get inside, they need to be scanned. And everyone's ID is checked again at least once if they order a drink. Did your scanner detect any fake IDs that day?
They did.
Okay, how many?
I believe 3 that we handed over to Detective Gallagher.
Okay. And did you deny entry for any other people? For any other reason?
Multiple people.
Okay. For what kind of reasons would you deny entry?
Expired IDs, under 21, and then anyone under 25 that couldn't produce a second ID.
Okay. And do you know how many total IDs were scanned that night?
I believe over 700.
Okay. So again, just to be clear, everyone that was on the premises that day must have had their ID scanned by security upon entry and then checked at least once more if they ordered a drink.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were there any other ID policies in place on the day of the incident?
When the police came, they told us to check anyone under 25 for a second form of ID.
Right. But on that day at the time of the incident, everyone needed an ID to get served, no matter the age.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. And were all employees required to be ServSafe or TIP certified?
Yes.
Okay, as a prerequisite to even be on shift?
Yes.
Okay. And you just spoke to this a little bit, but I'll ask, what additional measures did you put into place following the March 15th incident?
We checked for 2 IDs for anyone under 25. If they don't have a second form of ID, they are not allowed in and they are not served.
Okay, so that's for all persons under 25.
Yes.
Okay, even if they're showing valid ID on the scanner. Okay,
yes.
And have you scheduled an in-person tips training for
yes,
the
it's
staff?
at the end of the month.
Okay, great. Kristen, that's all I have. The board may have some questions, so please stay on.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the March 15th incident at the Margaritaville occurred over St. Patrick's Day weekend. The Margaritaville staff, in anticipation of more activity than usual, contracted with a private security company to operate under the licensee's direct control. And we can provide that contract to the board. And they also called in internal reinforcements from around the country to responsibly handle the larger than normal crowd and ensure the safe and responsible service of alcohol for that busy weekend. These are all things that a responsible operator would and should do when inspecting a larger crowd. Their alcohol safety plan that day and for all other days was to scan the ID of every person entering the premises, check IDs again at point of service, and deny entry to anyone who the scanners kick back as fakes, whose IDs are expired, or to anyone who could not produce a second form of ID when asked if they looked young. The team scanned throughout the course of that day a total of 789 IDs. As you just heard, the scanner caught several fake IDs, and other people were denied entry for various other reasons, such as expired valid IDs. Everyone that was present at the Margaritaville that day, therefore, had their ID scanned by a scanner, passed the scanner, and was asked for ID at least one other time if they ordered a drink. So it is not as if they did not have security measures in place that day. The people that the Boston police caught, the 4 people under 21, had their IDs scanned at the entrance and were carded again when they ordered drinks. Their IDs simply were good enough where they passed that scanner, which we heard was a recent model, and passed subsequent eye tests. Margaritaville, as the board is aware, is located in popular tourist attraction Faneuil Hall. Large portion of their customers are from out of state. They therefore are extra vigilant in the measures they take to make sure out-of-state IDs are valid. The issue that they have run into on the night of March 15th is a recurring issue throughout the industry right now. Fake IDs are so good that the scanners can't detect them. This is not an excuse, but it's simply a reality that they have been struggling to deal with. Despite the robust security measures in place at the time of the incident, the IDs, again, were able to pass both scanners and subsequent eye tests. In response, as you just heard, since that day, Margaritaville has implemented a new policy. In addition to scanning every ID, they now require a second form of ID for all persons who present an ID that states that they are under 25 years old. This is in addition to the already in place practice of everyone needing an ID to get served, no matter the age. These two measures have been in place since the incident, and in our opinion, they are working. To our knowledge, we've not had an incident since the March 15th incident. In fact, these security measures are working so well that they are the basis of many complaints Margaritaville has received on Google reviews, screenshots of which we will submit to the board, which all similarly complain about the two-form of ID policy. This shows that they take their responsibility very seriously at Margaritaville, to the detriment of, to some degree, their reputation and their profits. As Kristen just stated, they also scheduled an in-person tip certification class at the end of the month so that they can ensure everyone's certification is up to date. The Margaritaville team is confident that the increased security measures put in place since this incident will result in a marked improvement of their safe service security plan as they battle not only an increase in high quality fake IDs, but general compliance with applicable state and local alcohol service laws. With that, Margaritaville team will take any questions, but we thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Let's see if there's any questions from the board. Chairman Joyce.
I do have some questions, but my first questions are for the licensed premise unit. Margaritaville is stating that these were really good fakes. Would you say that these were really good fake IDs, or would you say that their scanners were subpar?
Subpar.
Okay, so just for the record, Sergeant Gallagher is saying that these scanners were subpar. Did you try to scan any of these IDs with the scanners you guys have?
I believe we did. They came back that they were testing positive on theirs and negative on ours. The ones we brought back to them, it just the scanner wasn't that good. They did intercept 3, but we found these people right inside the main lobby walking around with alcohol. As we were conducting our inspection, the under 21 crowd that was in there did notice what was going on, and we grabbed several more leaving the premise with alcohol. And they also had IDs that scanned good on the scanners for security, but our scanner's not 100%, but it definitely did better than theirs.
Okay.
For the record, ma'am, we also noticed that once we grabbed these people inside, their crowd diminished by at least 75%.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so would you describe it as once the crowd saw the police show up, everyone inside dispersed?
Yes.
Yes, I think they realized that they didn't want to get caught with their fake IDs, ma'am.
In particular, ma'am, the not the dining room, but I suppose it's a gazebo at Faneuil Hall was. I couldn't even envision how to conduct a mechanical count of it. There were so many people there. I had to walk around it. It was so immensely overcrowded in there, and then our attention was drawn to the 4 people in the foyer of the area, the foyer of the building, and we were engaged with them. And as soon as we engaged with them, you could have hit a golf ball through the place, and everybody scattered. It was amazing.
Not to step on any toes, and I know this isn't a formal trial with evidentiary standards, but I do want to object. We're not here for overcrowding, and we're only here for 4.
We were unable to conduct a mechanical count.
But again, the
the
notice that we have,
that we immediately engaged.
That's all well and good, but the notice that the board has issued is for a violation for 4 counts of service to minors, not for any of these extraneous facts.
If we had more people, it would have been a lot more than 4, sir.
I'm just trying to
Only
envision what Margaritaville and Faneuil Hall looks like on St. Patrick's Day weekend, and I think that kind of helps me picture what's going on. But I do realize we're here for persons under 21. And just a note to management, you may not be here when we deliberate on Thursday. You've already been shut down one day for people under 21, and you haven't been open that long. So I think you might want to reassess the types of scanners you use and the training. Because if people if your IDs are scanning as legit and they're not, and then they're getting through physical ID checks, there's a breakdown in your management there. Also, I want to mention that let me see here. What do you use for backup ID? This is, I don't want you to come back here the next time, or should there be a next time that you get written up for underage and say, we're accepting a credit card, because that is not acceptable. So what do you accept for a second form of ID?
Kristen, I think that's you.
A passport, a license to carry, anything with a name, a picture, and a date of birth and an expiration date. FID card. We weren't accepting credit cards. We weren't accepting school IDs.
Okay, good. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Carr, do you have any questions?
Did you engage with your scanner vendor to see why these particular four got through?
We were talking with the security manager who was there, and we were asking why. And he said it was updated. It was new technology. The officer had told us that it updates every so often.
What about the company that provided you the scanner? Are you still in contact with them?
Our security company brought it, yes.
Oh, they brought it. So the people you hired for this event brought their own scanners?
Yes.
Do you have your own scanners regularly?
We do not have a scanner, no. Security scans.
But how often do you employ this security company?
Every Saturday night and on big events.
Okay, so has the security company, have you asked them to go to their vendor and really nail down why the scanner isn't working apparently?
Yes, they're trying to figure that out because they don't understand.
You don't have an answer yet?
No, I do not.
Okay, I mean, I'm glad to hear that I'll take your word that you have engaged at least. I mean, that's something. But I would advise you to get to the bottom of it. And if you can't get to the bottom of it, consider whether you want to move on from that vendor.
Yes, sir.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Are there any further questions from the board on this matter? Seeing none, the board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 8, Mass Bay Brewing Company, Inc., doing business as Harpoon Brewery, located at 306 Northern Ave. Date of the incident, March 14th, 2025. Person under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 34A, 34C, and 6464A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
I am Charles Story.
Thank you. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
For any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, you may please proceed with the board.
Good morning. So again, on reading from a report that I wrote on Friday, March 14th, 2025, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license permission monitoring the patrons inside the Harpoon Brewery St. Patrick's Festival. As detectives were walking in the crowd, they noticed the patron looked very young. The detectives asked the patron to provide his license. The patron provided a New Hampshire driver's license, the name of Aaron Ricketts, with a date of birth of 5/18/2003. Detectives explained to Mr. Ricketts that his license had scanned as fraudulent and he would need to provide his true driver's license to confirm his identity. Mr. Ricketts did provide detectives with his correct Massachusetts driver's license with real date of birth of 5/18/2006. It should be noted that Mr. Ricketts did also have in his possession a second duplicate fraudulent New Hampshire driver's license, also in his name. Detectives then discovered that Mr. Ricketts also had in his possession a valid New York driver's license in the name of Samson Lambert with a date of birth of 8/27/1999. Mr. Ricketts will be summoned into court for forging misuse of an RMV document. Mr. Lambert will be summoned to court for assisting a person under 21 purchase liquor. As a result of what detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license purpose inspection order 020812 for persons under 21 possession of alcohol on premise. Mr. Fritz Granger signed for and accepted the notice. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Story, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, I would. The ID control system that we had in place at the time, an external security company doing manual optical checks of all IDs. Since then, and upon advice of Sergeant Detective Gallagher, we have purchased hardware, handheld hardware for scanning IDs, and subscribed to the premium Veriscan plan software, which is constantly updated with the goal of staying current with the counterfeiters' various techniques. Those will be in place at all our future festivals. They'll be operated by the independent third-party security company under the supervision of a trained Harpoon employee. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Story. We'll see if the board does have any questions. Chairman Joyce.
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
No questions.
None from me either. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, calling item number 9, Peabody eMarket Inc., doing business as eMarket, located at 4 Park Plaza. Date of the incident, March 20th, 2025. Service to persons under 21 in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Sections 3434A, 41, 6464A, and Board's Rule 1.08F, and failure to ID for service of alcohol in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Attorney Green, Commissioners. John Aida on behalf of the licensee. Joining me are the owners, Enos Nashed, her husband, Imad Henawi. Mr. Henawi is also the manager of record.
Thank you very much. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez again.
Thank you. Any other individuals of first-hand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you very much. Can you all please raise your right hand? Ms. Nashed, Mr. Henawi, can you please raise your hand?
Enos, Imad, please raise your right hand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth? Oh, can you keep your right hands raised, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ted Fernandez, if you could please read the police report into the record.
Good afternoon. I'm going to read again from a report I wrote on Thursday, March 20th, 2025. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license permitted went to eMarket. Detectives were there to monitor the sale of alcohol to underage patrons. While parked in front of the store, detectives observed a male, later identified as Luke Abels, 2/3/2005, walk out of the store with a 6-pack of Corona bottle beers. Detectives noticed this male looked young and asked him to produce an identification to confirm his age. Initially, Mr. Abels stated that he was over 21 years of age, but did not have a driver's license. Detectives asked him how he obtained the alcohol he was holding. Mr. Abels stated that he was not asked for any identification. Mr. Abels then stated that he was not 21 years of age. Detectives asked to see identification to confirm his age. As Mr. Abels attempted to pull out his Emerson ID card, Detective Hernandez noticed what appeared to be a New York driver's license. Mr. Abels stated that they were his oldest brother, Bennett Abels IDs, 10/8/2001. He then produced 2 expired learner's permits belonging to his brother. The 2 expired permits were confiscated. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge of the establishment, Mr. Romy Queenie. It should be noted that the store clerk stated that he did not ask Mr. Abels for any identification for this purchase because he had been there multiple times before to purchase alcohol The clerk further stated that on prior purchases, Mr. Abel had presented identification to purchase alcohol. As a result of what the detective observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license for inspection notice 021269 for sale of alcohol to persons under 21 years of age and failure to ID customer for service of alcohol. Mr. Queenie signed for and accepted the notice. Mr. Luca Bells will be summoned to court for forged and misuse of every document and persons under 21 possession of alcohol. And Mr. Bennett Bells will be summoned to court for assisting persons under 21 in the purchase of alcohol by allowing his brother to use his expired learner's permits. That is all. Thank you.
Sergeant Gallagher, I'd just like to add that we took those 2 expired licenses back inside, and we did try to utilize their scanner on them, and their scanner stated that both of those expired licenses were valid. So there's an issue there with their scanner when they use it.
Thank you for that. Attorney Aida, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you, Attorney Green. Detective Hernandez, did the staff cooperate with you that evening?
Yes, sir, they did.
Okay, I don't have any further questions for either of the officers. We're not questioning the facts as presented in the report. As you heard, the clerk was working there that evening. He did not ask this individual for his ID. He stated that is someone he had recognized and on prior occasions had, provided an ID. Obviously, we heard from the sergeant detective that the scanner needs some work, and that's part of the things that ownership has since addressed and is working with their staff as well. This employee had only been there for a short period of time. Clearly, this was a lapse in judgment and training on his part. Mr. Hennewy spoke to that clerk that evening. Additionally, the next day, they met with staff to review their policies. They reminded the employees that they need to ID every single person, both for visual inspection as well as use of that ID scanner. And hopefully they have updated that software, because clearly here it sounds like even the use of that scanner would not have flagged that it was expired. I know ownership is working hard to address this. They have been in contact with their POS system and I think updated their software as well. If anything, this is a teaching moment for the licensee. They take this seriously. They are both here if the board has any questions specific to them. And I should just say, neither were on that evening, so they don't have any firsthand knowledge, but can certainly talk about, their procedures moving ahead.
Thank you very much. We'll see if there are any questions from the board at this time. Chairman Joyce.
Can you just describe for us what your policy is as far as IDing people that come in?
EMAT or ENOS, you have you do both a visual inspection as well as use the scanner, is that correct?
Yes, and the POS system, they sent for us all the paperwork. Is this one a valid POS scanner?
So you have a POS system in place, and have you instructed your staff to check ID every single time as well?
Yes, I did, and I trained them how to see also the fake ID, how to know the fake ID, and we catch too many fake ID in the store.
And obviously, here that you heard the sergeant detective indicate that this ID, although expired, did previously go through your scanner as not being shown. So are you working, and have you since upgraded or updated the software of that POS system?
Yes, I contact them and we working on it. And also they sent for me all the paperwork. It's a good scanner, but I'm working with them to update the software.
Yeah, it's very important that you do that for your own professional protection as a business. These could result in serious penalties. So I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon.
I have no questions. Thank you.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the items before the board this morning that will adjourn this hearing. The board is scheduled to vote on these items on Thursday, May 15th, 2025. Notice has been posted to the city's website. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.
Thank you.